Welcome back to Morning Coffee with Tim, Season 2, Episode, who knows, probably 1.
Okay.
I think we're going to put you in straight off top. Firstly, appreciate all the love on Season 1. Some incredible guests, some incredible episodes. Go and check them out if you haven't already. But not before you listen to this one, because that'll be ridiculous. We've got a great guest. Podcaster, comedian, trailblazer, which I just announced to you there about 5 minutes ago.
News to me.
Trailblazer, Colin Geddis. How are you, brother?
I'm good. It's weirdly nervous waiting around in your own garage for someone to come and talk to you.
I know. I appreciate you letting me use this because this is Geddis's garage, the back of his house, which is a fantastic setup. But it is a bit weird probably for you just to invite me in and just being like, interview in your garage.
It's not really weird. I think I just have, like comedians are like inherently kind of lazy. And anytime there's a specific time slot, you're like, I'll be here at 9.
Yeah.
And I've been out here since about 8:15. Where is he?
And I was here it was near 9, like 5 past. Had to get the coffee, motorway business, the crack. But
that's close enough.
First off, I want to always go in with a pretty easy question. Morning Coffee with Tim, obviously coffee is an important part of my life. Important part of your life too, but you just told me you'll drink literally anything, so maybe not as important as I thought.
I've done the same with coffee and beer and everything where
it does a job.
I push it as a specialist, I go let me get real fancy with this. We have every bit of coffee equipment in there.
Yeah.
And then it hits a point where I just go, I don't really care, I'll just have anything.
Aye.
And the same with, like, we were getting sent fancy beers from all these sponsors and stuff on the podcast. And have a few at the weekend, or like, like you'd share them with someone and try like all 6 of them.
Aye.
And then it got to the point where I was like, I'll just take a warm Stella.
Yeah.
In a tin. I don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Go back to what you enjoy. But is there anywhere that stands out that you've had a coffee before where you've been like, that hits different? Like that was a good oat flat white or something.
We don't play with oat flat whites.
Do you know?
Nah.
Disappointing.
Stinking.
Really? I love an oat flat white. Coconut flat white too, but I'm out there like.
You see, I don't know. I just don't think it tastes good. It tastes like cardboard. But it's usually, especially in this country, it's usually like weird spots.
Aye.
The places that you think you're going to get a good one, all the fancy coffee shops in Belfast are kind of like
artisanal.
You're kind of like underwhelmed.
Yeah.
And then I'll go to like there's like a park thing around here, like one of these national, what do you call it? Trust type things. Yeah. Has a wee cafe in it. Went down there. I was like, oh my God, this
unreal,
is unbelievable. Just some like 17-year-old wee girl making it. I was like, this is absolutely banging. Usually they should walk into, one of these hipster spots in Belfast and be like, that's what coffee tastes like there.
That is what it's normally like. Normally the places that don't overcomplicate it is good coffee. Like, and everyone's coffee's different because my ma, she loves Costa and I keep telling her it's the worst. Like it's the dregs. Tastes like hot water or like warm milk. She's like, oh no, but it's perfect. It's not too strong. Also, but I'm like, I want to taste me coffee.
Yeah, have you ever had an oat flat out of there?
No, I probably have. I've never had it again.
It's just like so sugary for no though there's not supposed to be sugar in it, but you're just like, this is like a frappe over here.
Aye. It's just shocking. I'm not a big fan of chain coffee shops. I'll deal with a Starbucks like if I have to. But
I was in where was it? LA, and me and Maureen were staying in a wee apartment, and we don't do that. We don't really do like holiday type stuff. We'll go there and get a nice wee apartment and be like, let's pretend we live here for 2 weeks.
Nice.
And I got up in the morning, she was still asleep, walked down the street, and you know the actor Danny Trejo, the Mexican guy? You'd know his face.
I know his face.
He's a baddie and everything.
Yeah.
But he has a chain of coffee shops.
Nice.
Donut shops, sorry. And I went down and they've just got the filter like ticking over in this big machine and got this like giant pint of just black filter coffee.
Aye.
Absolutely banging.
Unreal.
Banging. And then, they also gave me like a toasted coconut donut. That was also nice. That was also nice. Sun beating down, walking down the street.
Yeah.
Actually, I bet the donut nearly fell onto my knees. I was like, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve this. It was so good. Like,
but that's the location makes a big difference too. Like, coffee tastes better in the North Coast to me than it does in Fitna.
Yeah.
That's just because I'm enjoying the
environment. I had an experience on the North Coast. I can't say where it was, but I was chatting to this fella and he was getting real deep. But like, I was saying, people will drive miles for coffee now. And he's like, yeah, if the coffee's good, people will make it a destination and they'll go and, they'll fucking do whatever, enjoy their day and have a nice coffee and take the photos and blah, blah. Chatting away all this coffee business. And then I walked away and sipped it and was like, what the fuck did he do to that? I was like, after all the talk, you know.
I know, but that's the thing. Like everyone, different roasts taste so different. Like strong coffee, weaker coffee. Some taste fruity, and you're like, one guy in London used to tell me, "Oh, this real like blackcurrants. You'll taste blackcurrants." I'm like, I was expecting Ribena, obviously. Yeah. Like that was what I was expecting to hit. Didn't taste like blackcurrants at all. I was like, where do they get this from? But
it's such a deep profile. You have to be going like,
aye, proper spitting it out.
But to me, that's like how far from coffee do you want it to taste? Just give me the coffee, goddammit.
I know. Well, funny you say about filter coffee, like just a big jug of filter coffee. Tim Hortons is decent.
Tim
Americano,
Hortons is good.
like filter coffee, because that's anytime I'm in Cookstown, I'll get a Tim Hortons.
I like that's a big coffee for me. You know, I'll put the regular.
Oh, sorry.
If I'm at the machine, no, like I said, I'll drink anything. But if I go to that machine for an Americano, I'll like pull the coffee over and let one of the streams of water go into it.
Oh, right.
So it only comes up to about there. Then the coffee hits it. So it's like I don't know what that's called, a short black or something.
Not gonna lie, I thought it was making it wrong. I've never got an Americano out of a machine in my life, and it came out with what? It just filled a cup with hot water.
Yeah.
I was like, this machine's rinsing. Like,
so it's too much water. That's why I let it drip off and then just get a wee strong Americano.
Yeah, fair.
I have a theory.
Go ahead.
You make filter coffee. You know, like the French press thing.
Aye.
Just leave it overnight, and then put it in a cup and microwave it, and it tastes way better.
Oh, right. Like cold brew type, but hot brew?
It's like chilled brew. It goes cold, and then you reheat it. It's like lasagna. It tastes way better second day.
Yeah, all right. That is true.
That's Trump behavior, like me.
I know, but
just leaving it on
lasagna's good at any time, but cold brew.
a pint of lasagna first thing in the morning. A flat lasagna.
But cold brew, cold brew's whenever they like soak the beans in the water, isn't it? I think that's what they do. There's like a method to it. I think there's like, they soak it overnight. Like
I thought it was just pulled through with cold water the same way.
Oh, you could be right. Jeez.
I don't know.
Who's the coffee expert here?
I have no idea.
Not me. I just rock up. No, you could be right. I know there's who knows. I never drink it, but that was a real in-depth coffee chat. That was probably the most in-depth coffee chat I've had.
I'll tell you what will mess you up while we're at it.
Go ahead. Keep going.
You get a real iced tea.
I
remember being like off.
Not like the Fuse tea out of the bottle.
No.
This is
like,
the proper gear.
Like once again, it was in America, so I was trying not to have as many coffees as I normally do.
Aye.
So I was like, I'll get an iced tea, and I took a big sip of it, and I mean, like I could feel it like going down my arms, like the caffeine. And I was like, what happened to me? Very strong.
Have you ever went on a decaf hype? Have you ever went off caffeine completely?
Probably, yeah. Probably tried it for like a week or so at some point.
I was doing it for a month there, and first coffee hit me like.
I don't really notice anything when I go off it. I only notice when I have too much.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wasn't getting like headaches and feeling weird the way people normally do.
Aye. Yeah. No, I was the same. I always go off it for like a month, every 3 or 4 months. And everyone laughs at you when you order decaf coffee. And I'm like, look, some decaf coffee tastes as good as normal coffee, and I'm going to ride with that opinion.
Someone told me, and the guy was, he knows his stuff. Like he's, when someone's absolutely shredded.
Yeah.
And you go like, I think I'll believe this guy.
Absolutely.
Works in like nutrition.
Yeah.
And he was like, there's like.
I thought you meant he liked coffee, and I was like, shredded people.
Nobody, but he was talking about caffeine from coffee. And he's like, it doesn't agree with me. Brain fog, shits his pants.
Yeah.
Just can't handle it, but reacts very well to like whatever the sort of synthetic version of it is. He said there's like 2 types of caffeine.
I think he could be right, because I definitely, when I'm drinking coffee, after I drink a coffee, I definitely can't focus as much, which should be the opposite way, you would think. If you're taking caffeine in, you should think you're like dialed in.
But I think it's probably like a
I keep drinking it
like a preloaded sort of back burner type thing. Maybe you have one and then an hour later you try and do some work. Because what happens to me is the coffee does nothing and then it starts working at 10 at night.
See, I don't even think I feel I don't really feel the effects of caffeine. Like I never feel like I'm buzzed now. Not one of these people. I can't wake up in the morning until I have my coffee. Like
I should look into just maybe drinking like decafs and stuff and then taking like synthetic caffeine. Because I've felt it work. Like I had one of those
Pro Plus job.
Not even Pro Plus. Do you remember the way you get? Someone told me this. I don't know. You probably know about it. I don't know anything about nutrition clearly, but it was like like what is it, BCAA?
Aye.
Do you take that pre-workout sort of, and then you take
Branched chain amino acid?
and then you take like the protein after?
Yeah, they're kind of, a lot of people will say they're pointless. Like,
okay, well anyway, I was new to it. I was
Yeah.
like trying to lift some weights.
Yeah.
The guy was like, just take that take the beef isolate right after. But the BCAA thing had a lot of caffeine in it, and that was the only time I ever felt like I was like, I gotta work out now, because you know, your vision what was coming out. I was like, geez, freak out here.
Yeah.
But a coffee wouldn't do that. Like
no,
2 really strong coffees wouldn't do that.
Aye. BCAAs, there was a real BCAA.
Oh, BCAA?
BCAA hype at one stage, because they were just marketing them like, oh, this is what you're missing from your training. But really, like, you don't need them. You might as well drink my water, like, or Robinson's. Apparently,
Deal.
That's what they say.
I'm in.
But no, I want to get you on the podcast mainly to talk about comedy, obviously podcasting, all the rest, trailblazing. But all the podcasts you do are like very, very comedy based.
Yeah.
They all are, pretty much.
Yeah.
Have you ever done a podcast where you've kind of like talk more about
serious
business,
things?
you know,
Only
what makes Colin Geddis, you know, going a bit deeper?
Only with certain people. Maybe touched on it a bit on like Patreon podcasts that I'm doing solo, where I get to just like rant a little bit.
Yeah.
I do like it though. Like, I feel like we're weirdly at a bit of a fork in the road at the minute with podcasting, where I have the outlet for the craziness with like Bomb Squad with Aaron.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I think General Banter might be at the point where it sort of matures a little bit. Where like me and Maureen are sort of constant hosts talking to people with it. Because
I like the ones with Maureen.
Because loads of people do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
Loads of people have said to her she should start her own. But I think just at the minute, without adding more work, you know, bringing her on, and like we've had sort of like different sorts of guests on like the 12 Pods of Christmas. Different people, you know, you have like Paddy McGurgan, the makeup artist, who's like hugely successful, and it's like a different type of chat.
Yeah.
And I would like it to go sort of in that direction, and sort of talk, like, you know, I could have Connor Keys on and just talk shite and conspiracy theories and all.
Yeah.
But if it's me and Maureen talking to him, it'll probably be more like family orientated and how he deals with his issues, you know. So
Maureen brings a different perspective, I suppose.
Yeah, and she's also great
for,
find out. You know, I just don't have the run of the show. She's a bit like, Colin, come on, you know, like, reins me in a wee bit. But I think that's where that's going to go. Slightly more interesting conversations on General Banter, probably.
Because I think a lot of people see, like, I know a lot of comedians from being, you know, best mates with McCann, and obviously hanging around with a lot of comedians, knowing yourself for quite a few years now. You kind of, they step on stage, tell jokes, but I don't think a lot of people appreciate the work that goes into a lot of what comedians do, especially when you've built something like what you've built. You know, it's different if a comedian's, you know, doing the odd gig or whatever once a week and they have a job alongside that, whatever. Everyone does it differently. But you've kind of built an institution, or not, that's maybe too big a word, I don't know. You've built your own like platform with the podcast. You've kind of backed yourself every way. You've started viral videos, podcast, then comedy came after the podcast or before the podcast, after the videos? Nearly
the same time. Well, no, I probably had done a few podcasts before I ever did stand up.
Aye. I would say a lot of people probably think you started comedy first, I would think, and then went into the podcast and after that.
Yeah, well,
I suppose, Barry the Blender, which was your first, like, the virality of the videos, I guess that is a form of comedy. It's just not stand-up.
It is, but like for me, I never thought of being a comedian. Like, it seemed so, like, I liked comedy, all that sort of business, but I never thought like, you nearly need to like fall into it.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of people who are like 12 years old going, I want to be a stand-up, they're usually nuts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you kind of nearly have to fall into it. And like, same with so the order of things was kind of like, I was at uni, I was into like graphic design and stuff. I still am, like, but I
wrote that graphic design. I do that.
I was into like graphic design and was trying to get into graphic design at Belfast Art College. And they said if you go on a foundation year, you're guaranteed to get into whatever course you want. So I did the foundation year at Belfast and then didn't get into the course, which was visual communication.
Right.
And then I was like, you know, just that when you're like 18 or 19, so I was just like, what do I do now? And then they kind of went, right, there's there's like a new course in McGee called Design and Communication.
Right.
And it's like everything. It's graphic design, animation, 3D, you know, moving image, animation, you could do all the stuff.
Yeah.
So I went there, and it was probably good in the long run because you get to try a load of stuff. Like some modules you'd be like, this is unbelievable, I love this. And then other ones you're like, what am I doing 3D design for? Like, I don't care about it. I'll draw up a few pictures, and then it moved over to a computer and you had to like make it.
Yeah.
So, and then we got to move an image, and I made like a little fake documentary just because of the stuff I was watching at the time, like The Office and stuff. So hilariously, the first video was called Hits.
Right.
And it was like a mock documentary about a bunch of lads. It's fucking genius. You can make it now.
Yeah.
About a bunch of lads trying to recreate viral videos that were around at the time.
Right.
Which was all like, you know, fucking
Vines and stuff.
Charlie bit my finger and all this stupid stuff. But the wee mock doc was it was just me and the guys I live with trying to recreate viral hits.
Yeah.
And like what was the guy called Chris Crocker or something who like thought he was Britney Spears, and there was me with like lipstick. It was actually a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, "Oh, it's really funny." And then I was like, "Okay, it wasn't really meant to be out and out funny."
Yeah.
So and then sort of I handed that in for like my final fucking project thing. And then graduated, and then it was over. And then I was like, I might make another video. And then the next video was I Am Fighter, which ironically was, you know what I mean? Like, it was so weird that the hits thing was, you know, guys trying to make a viral video, and then the first video I made after that was actually kind of went viral. Yeah, you know, relatively speaking. At the time.
Yeah. No, it definitely did. I remember being at school. I don't know what age I would have been. What year was it? What year was the first I Am Fighter?
2009, I think.
So I'd have been third year school, fourth year school. I remember it was everywhere. And I was like, it was massive, especially in Northern Ireland. I suppose it was getting shared around absolutely everywhere. But what would you say, like, after uni, did you just kind of do that video and then that took off and then you built things from there? Or what was your plan? Say if that never happened, what did you just graphic design, or what would have been the path?
It took so long to like get the wheels moving on everything. Like I was talking to someone the other day and I was like, I've basically done the same thing for like the last 13, 14 years or something. Which is make some videos. Shortly after that, I kind of started a podcast, and then it was on and off until I started it back sort of regularly. But I've literally just been doing videos, podcasting, and stand up for the whole time. Yeah, but just gradually trying to get it moving. If you know what I mean. Yeah. So but there was no plan then. It was basically just like, okay, I've got some notoriety from this. I had started stand up, which was a nightmare because I was immediately trying to move away from the character stuff. I was trying to go like, oh no, I want to actually be a comedian. So like the first gigs I did, like it might be a room full of people going, there's Barry the Blender here to do stand up. And I had to do like 20 minutes, and I was on like my third gig. You know what I mean? It was it was like, you know, like baptism of fire, as they say. Just like it was pretty. Did
you find that difficult to kind of like separate? Because obviously you didn't want your stand up to be. You weren't Barry the Blender. You were Colin Geddis when you were doing stand-up. Did you find it hard to... Did you find the crowds were always just wanting like kind of like...
For a while,
sketchy stuff or like video kind of stuff? It's like Spider-Man. I always think... this is a weird kind of segue, but I always think it's tough for Tom Holland to act in anything else because he's Spider-Man. Like. And when he's doing a serious role...
Well, there's way worse than that. There's like Harry Potter.
Yeah, well,
you know
exactly.
What I mean? Like, you know,
how's Harry Potter gonna rock up in a rom-com? Like, that's weird. That's weird, but they do make it work. Like Tom Holland's in a load of other films, but
it was like that for a while, and then some people would say like, you know, I think McCann said one time, he's like, oh sure, it only took you a while to, you know, before people wanted to see his stand. I was like, I didn't really. It probably took about 7 years before people before it would come off stage and people would be like, I thought you were gonna be up there with a bandana and all. I was like, I carry a punch bag around with me for live performances.
Do you think you finally shook that? Like Barry the Blender, you think it's like, because I know whenever you done it at the SSE and you done it was 10 years, wasn't it? Yeah. And you done the video and everything. Was that kind of like a closure of it, like
kind of
finish it? Because I remember reading that interview you done. It said like, you know,
I always just do what I feel like doing most of the time, and I didn't feel like doing that anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what people probably don't know is like, you know, the same like social satire that was being put into the videos
Yeah.
hasn't changed. It goes into stand up now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then the writing, like I would usually just start writing one of those daily blends, or even the best of McD, and it would usually just come out first go on one page. That's usually like a minute, handwritten.
Yeah.
And then I would just read it to the camera. But
Yeah.
stand up's the same. So like I'll just kind of have a subject and like start writing about it, and it usually just falls onto the page.
Yeah.
So the actual like technique and the content and the writing is the same.
Yeah.
It hasn't really changed at all.
Yeah.
It probably should evolve at some point, but it has just stayed the same.
Yeah. I don't have a clue, like, but you know that it is. What was kind of the decision to go all in with stand up then? Because I'm keen to kind of know. Obviously, you left uni, and then you were like, didn't really know what the plan was. The videos went viral, and then was it like, did stand up become a full time job pretty quickly, or was it more like?
I mean, I say
gradual?
that's all it was doing. You know, it was not like good money or anything. It was very few and far between these gigs.
Yeah.
And it was annoying because you'd usually like be trying to do stand up and whatever and sort of scraping by, and then somebody would offer you like, do you want to make videos for us? And they'd pay you fairly decent money. But that wasn't like regular.
Yeah.
But it was probably the fact that fucking everybody knew who I was.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to, like, I sort of didn't want to just get like a normal job.
Aye.
You know?
Yeah.
Because it would be very annoying.
Barry the Blender's working in the call center.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of like, well, this is kind of what I do now, I suppose.
Yeah. Did you put them videos, the Barry the Blender videos, straight onto YouTube? Did you put them anywhere else? Was Facebook big at the time? Like what? It was just
I
YouTube?
think there's always been a little like, it still happens to this day where there's always like a new thing and then a slight delay before you catch on, and a new thing and a slight delay. So like
that was probably the height of YouTube, was it? Like, or like,
yeah, that was when most videos were being viewed on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it went on YouTube, and still like the videos don't have that many hits, relatively speaking, but every one of them
consistently numbers,
had like decent numbers.
Yeah.
But it was always kind of like putting stuff on YouTube, and then you had that conversation of like, oh, you should probably put this on Facebook, and then the next thing was always like, oh, you should get an Instagram, and I'm like, oh, fucking, what is it? Because back then people were just like taking photos and, you know, putting a Polaroid filter on them, and you know that's all they were doing with Instagram.
Yeah. There's a picture of me holding a butter knife to my wrist.
Yeah.
After an Arsenal game. I was like, oh no.
But then, who's that, McCann?
It is.
Answer it there for the crack. Leave it in.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hello?
Bum dialed you?
Hello? Oh, well. Great chat.
He's butt dialed you.
Yeah, he has. I rang him, so I thought he would have rang me back, but he must have bummed me. But yeah, what was I talking about? Something random.
Oh, why, the social media thing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because Instagram, or the... Instagram was like, whenever it first came out, everyone's like, oh, this isn't going to catch on. Oh, we're just putting random pictures up. And now it's kind of stuck the course of time. Like everyone used Instagram. But then it was Snapchat.
There
was no videos on Instagram, obviously, so that wasn't any.
But like Snapchat came around, got on Snapchat. It was great. They used to have major numbers on the Snapchat. And they answered that, fuck's sake.
Hello? We're recording Morning Coffee with Tim here. Colin Geddis is with me. You're live on air. Do not swear, please.
Very nice.
What are you up to? You're off the flight? Would you want to get the bus back and then I'll scoop you up?
Sounds great.
Tell them to go to Dungannon, we'll go for lunch.
I go to Dungannon, we'll go for lunch.
Sounds good.
Right, nice. Anything to add to the podcast there?
Nothing at all. The flight's delayed.
Oh, it's delayed? All right, okay, great stuff. Well, anyway, have a good... right, all the best. Right, love you, bye. That's all you can. Great stuff.
The guy's a mess.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know how he gets through life, but he makes it work. But no, Instagram. So Instagram was no real benefit for the video side of things, like. And then Facebook, I don't know. Facebook now to me is just like mum's posting statuses. Like everyone kind of has its time, doesn't it? But YouTube YouTube's always been there.
Yeah, it's gone like full circle now, where I sort of think like, where's the real longevity? And it's probably longer form content on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because it's sad.
Netflix style stuff like.
Yeah, it's sad the way people in the creative industry are dealing with this sort of like algorithm business, especially comedians and stuff, because you can hack the system where you just clip, and people it's almost at like an overwhelming point now where like you just like I'll see if two boys on a podcast like this, and I do two of them, but I'll just go no, like I can't even be arsed. You know what I mean?
I know.
And I used to do it in a very organic way, which was like I'll do podcasts by myself, and if something is very obviously standing out as hilarious, I'll put it out, and then it usually became like almost like a classic clip because you're just waiting for the stuff that's actually good. And it's weird. It's weird now to just.
It's oversaturated, like that.
But it's good and bad because people, you know, there's people who deserve a load of attention, who are brilliant, who can get it now. You know, and then there's ways to like hack the system. We just keep cranking out clips. And then you have more notoriety than you have skill.
I think it's like it's not the most talented that can potentially, you know, do the best on Instagram.
I saved the meme earlier. You know? I saved the meme earlier.
2012. It's whoever's cranking out the most content, and then it's like you go see them and you're like,
well, that's it. And
I find that a lot of bits can get burned through clips and podcasts because
this is why the crowd work thing has done so well. People are just putting up crowd work clips, and then people who actually are good comedian, there you go, talented excuse maker, doesn't do anything, untalented action taker.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is you're seeing a lot, but those sort of people I think get like one bite of the cherry. Because you know, they get up, and if they're a comedian, say, they might get a load of people to a gig a few times, and then people go and be like,
realize they're cacked.
Believe it or not, it wasn't that good. You know? So like
it never lasts really, like, because it can't. Because everyone, if someone's going to see a gig and they're like, oh, this guy's actually not good, his clips were just good. You know, then just drop.
There's something to be said about it. You know, like they used to say in comedy, like you're shite till you've done it for 20 years. Which would be very American and like coming up through the system and doing 7s and 10s and 15s and whatever, and you do it for years on end, and then eventually you're like a good comedian. I think you can shorten that a bit now. It might be like 10 years now. But it's almost like it's good for you for it to take a while. Because you get like a foundation. You know.
Because I know guys that have went from like 5k followers to like 200k in like 3 weeks. At the minute, just from having a trend or they do something in a different way, or like Dan, who I had on the podcast, he was like in a bin full of ice cold water and he would do like motivational videos from the bin. Grew like crazy because it just was the virality of it, and it was just something different. Stop the scroll, essentially, which is what everyone's trying to do.
And I bet you 50% of people are like, this is great, and I bet you the other 50 are like, what the fuck's he doing?
Absolutely.
Because they're the things that do well now. It's like
100%.
Like just pure quality, it's very hard to like get a following. You know, it has to be something like every PT online, they're not going like, here's legit tips. They're just shitting on other people. You think you want to do keto? You fucking dickhead.
I know that's what it is. It's like picking out what someone else says and like picking holes in it and then just trying to take it. It's weird because I find it like working in sports science, like I follow a lot of high level coaches, like the smartest guys that have been doing it for 15-20 years, 300 followers on Instagram, like literally, and probably about 200 of them are clients, and you're like, that guy's doesn't mind about Instagram because he is making a killing because every person he works with gets an incredible result
because he's actually doing it.
Whereas everyone else, you know, a lot of people now, they build a massive following and it's like, right, how do I monetize this? What do I do? Like, do this, do that, tear other people down. It's weird. Like, it is weird.
I mean, one I've seen recently is like, obviously Niall, who does all the podcast stuff and the
shout out Niall.
Yep, the gecko, the rusty gecko, gecko face. But there's a lot of video guys who'll spend all day in their studio doing these glamour shots of the kit they have and whatever. They're not working. If you said to Niall, like, why don't you do in studio stuff? He'd be like, you know, fucking turn his hair right. Like, when am I gonna do that? Like, some people are actually just working. And some people are faffing about all day, like, you know, showing off, kind of.
I know it's a weird one because you think the ones that are pumping out consistent Instagram content, although it's an important part of it as well, sometimes the guys that are actually taking a week off Instagram, they're the ones that are actually working with their clients or doing the actual work. you know, that they're trying to promote on Instagram. So it's a weird Instagram's weird at the minute. And now Threads. I don't know if you're on Threads. Don't have a clue what's going on there. Don't know what's happening.
So I mean, like, whatever's original about it hasn't presented itself to me yet.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm just like, this is just another thing that is the annoying bit about making content. Or
you feel like you always have to stay with the trip, and then you're I don't know if this is any
weirdly in the you know, in the comedy world. I think there's a difference between like content and then like actual work. You know, like there's plenty of like that Blender documentary I did.
Yeah,
was like a serious bit of work that if you know, like you feel like you need to do. You feel like you need to get it out of your system.
Yeah,
and then like just day to day shite is kind of it's just content. It's just like I'm still here. I'm still here.
Yeah.
And then which is annoying because it usually eats up most of the time when you should be just doing the sort of passion project, like the stuff that you feel like you want to do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people saying that's the way it's kind of going now anyway.
I know. I think as long as you put out stuff that you want to put out, I think it's very easy to get caught up into the trap, like, which I think probably a lot of comedians do. They're like, right, there's a load of crowd work's doing well. I have to do crowd work. And they're not a crowd work comedian. And then you're like, oh, geez. And then you go see him. And it's like, oh, this boy's just doing a load of crowd work purely just to get a clip out of me. And then it's constantly like,
I'm not a crowd work comedian, and I'm fucking better at it than everyone.
Yeah. The best. Trailblazing.
So eat my dick.
Absolutely. No,
edit that out. That's morning coffee with Tim.
No, it's fine. Dick's fine.
Praise Christ.
You can't say the F word or anything more extreme.
Which F word are we talking about?
Try it and see, and whatever's bleeped, you can watch it back. But yeah, like going on the podcast, I want to, because you were, as I said, you trailblazed the podcast scene. I don't know if were you one of the first? Probably.
For
I
sure.
didn't listen to podcasts.
The only see like again back in the day,
Radio Picnic. Is that
Audio Picnic?
Audio
Picnic.
Sorry.
No, but like, we did the I Am Fighter one, and then a guy called Rick who had a website called Panic Dots, which was like NI podcast sort of anagram thing.
Nice.
He was putting up podcasts. This is like he came to me like, do you want to do a podcast? And I was like, what the hell's that?
Yeah.
And me and Dan Watson did one in character. And it was such a big ordeal to record a podcast. Like we went to this guy's house who's actually a sound engineer for bands and stuff.
Yeah.
So we went into this place, like Persian rugs and loads of kit and fucking mic stands coming in all over the place, and recorded it. And I was like, he was kind of just like, that was great, man. Thanks very much. And you know, off you go.
On your way.
And I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
We should do this all the time. And then Audio Picnic became a thing. But again, sound engineer, like big desk, all that sort of stuff. And I just liked it. I just liked sort of talking. There was always like funny stuff come out of it. And you weren't clipping that. You know, everyone was going to people were going to a website with an embedded audio.
And
There was no there's no platforms. There's no Spotify or
and there was no like upload to one place that dishes it out to everyone.
No, you had to go to this one website and sit at the desktop listening to it. It wasn't portable or anything.
Yeah.
But
that's a dedicated listener. That's someone that actually wants to listen. And I think that's a bit lost now.
Weirdly, like everything went there, so you know you don't have to like tally up your hits or your listens from everywhere.
Well, whoever was listening was there.
I think the first episode, I remember after a couple of weeks there was like 33,000 listens on it or something. And I was like, what? That's nuts. You know. And
that's people that are going on, clicking the embedded player and sitting listening to it. Like, and it wasn't the days where you could flick your phone off, put it in your pocket, and listen. No, it was like you had to sit.
You were sitting, putting it on. But that's the thing I have to remind myself sometimes. Like, you know, if you haven't had time to do a lot of clips and you know, the clips are just kind of a wee bit of fun every day.
Yeah.
Because every time like a sponsor asks me for like numbers, the numbers are still mental.
Yeah.
On which is when you think about it, like the things that actually matter.
Yeah.
Is like my podcast, clips.
Yeah.
And you're like, who's actually listening to it? Like, who's listening to it start to finish?
Yeah.
And the numbers.
Who's watching a clip and directly saying, I want to listen to the full thing?
Yeah.
It's probably people that are already seeing it, watching it anyway.
And the YouTube hits go up and down, like sort of guest dependent.
Yeah.
But the audio listens are always consistent. Which are like, it's a bloody audio podcast. So I have to calm myself down sometimes going like, oh, I haven't put a clip out from this podcast.
Yeah. Where you've still got the tens of thousands of people listening in the background.
It doesn't matter really.
Yeah. But whenever you started, obviously podcasting probably, whenever he came to you, you didn't have a clue what it was. So when did you kind of realize, oh, this is something that is actually going to go somewhere? Like I could actually do something with this. When was this?
Well,
Is this, like-
here's a good point for your young listeners.
Yeah, go ahead. I don't know what the demographic is.
I did it for a long time, years,
Yeah,
just
without
because I like doing it.
Wow, you hear that?
So there you go.
Yeah,
That's a good.
I like
that's
that.
a good lesson.
Yeah.
Like, would you be doing it anyway?
yeah,
Because there's
Very
a
true.
lot of like, I've seen like how many. See with the pandemic, like how many podcasts did you see pop up and disappear?
Oh yeah,
Hundreds and thousands.
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, it's kind of or like, oh, I'm gonna start one when I get a camera. Like, you know, it's like
Do it because you want to, not because
you should be
think
doing
you
it
should.
anyway. You should like find a way. Like that.
Yeah.
That original I Am Fighter was me with like that. See that JVC camera sitting up there?
Uh-huh.
That's the actual camera. And I was like, what do I do? You know, I can make a character. I like MMA. You know, I'll make a character, and because I couldn't make it look shiny,
Yeah,
I had to make it look half shit
yeah.
so that it looked believable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I didn't
Yeah.
have good enough gear. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like just
But that probably helped.
it helped it. Yeah, big style because people thought it was real. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's like,
I probably thought you were real for like probably a good 4 or 5 years.
yeah,
I was like, this guy's just a weird guy in his garage, just doing
yeah,
like baiting a boxing bag. But
Which
I'm
is-
sure a lot of people did.
which is great. But that's the thing.
I only found out your name was Colin about 4 weeks ago. I was like, "Bar, that's crazy." Like,
It's weird, but like, yeah, had it been shot with like a TV quality camera,
oh yeah,
people
when-
would have been like, "Oh, he's an actor." But
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it was like looked so shitty, it looked like I did it myself.
yeah,
You know,
authentic. No, it's true. It is so true, and I love that point. You're right. Do something because you really feel like you should be doing it, not because you think other people.
but years like it moved from us messing about on Audio Picnic. It took a bit of a gap there because it was kind of like, nah, you know, those boys weren't recording together anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then years later, I was like, I'll start this again. It was just called the Colin Geddis Show, and it was me going like, let me talk through some ideas out loud, and then it might become a bit.
yeah,
So it was always just like supplementing the stand up. So I was kind of doing that, and that I still do it to this day, but like it just kept going like that, and then it would get bigger and bigger and bigger, and people were listening. And then Patreon came around, and people were like, people were telling me, you should get on Patreon, you should get on Patreon, you should get on Patreon.
Aye.
And I was like, I don't know, I feel weird just like taking money off people
Aye.
for a podcast.
yeah.
But then I sort of changed my mindset, like it's like buying more podcasts.
Yeah,
you know?
and you think of the years you've put into getting to that point. You're like, you know, sometimes you have to monetize it at some stage, like so for you to be able to keep dishing them out.
But you will notice, like, you know, it's not like a lot of the money just goes back into it. So
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's why
there's a reason the studio gets better. This
there's
gets better.
there's
Yeah.
a reason there's a studio.
Yeah.
The cameras get better, the gear gets better. So a lot of people don't do that. A
Yeah.
lot of people just keep the money. Mm-hmm. But like mine's always like went back into it and like trying to up the quality every time.
Yeah, I feel like you must have like 16 studios now. I was actually looking through YouTube, and I was like, I was saying, I'm recording with Geddis, and they were like, "Oh, show me the studio." Clicking through YouTube, I was like, "It might be this background, or this background, or this background, or this background." You've
Yeah.
had like, look, so you can see that the investment's going straight back in.
But
Like,
I do just change my mind all the time.
all the time.
Like even in the office in Belfast at the minute, we had that big red box you might have seen. Have you been in there before?
Yeah,
Ah, you remember we did the gig in there, there's a
yeah,
big
yeah,
red box.
yeah,
We'd record in that. And now I'm like, the bomb squad's on the other side of that. And then I'm like, right, maybe General Banter should be in the corner. So I'll move it again
yeah,
and get another background. I'm trying to get something where we can just keep it. And
Yeah,
people
yeah.
can come in and sit and be, you know, comfortable and chat.
yeah,
Instead of that, we confine to that wee box.
yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, like I'm always thinking about that. Just like a
Aye.
new thing.
When did the video kick off for the podcast? Because obviously when you started it, the Audio Picnic stuff, no video. All
Yeah.
Because podcasts aren't designed to be video, right? Like a podcast is originally like a radio show.
Yeah.
But when did you decide, oh, we should video this? Like we should turn this into more of a production rather than just audio? Because I know when me and McCann do Dirt Civil, it was always audio, never done a video.
I think sometimes like, you know, you do say sometimes there's really funny things said on a podcast where you're like, it'd be great if there was video for that.
Yeah.
So that's the way it was going back then. I was just trying to, but things were, you know, like you're probably talking like 6, 7, 8 years ago when it wasn't as easy to like buy a camera.
Yeah.
And the kit wasn't cheap or whatever. So I had like a wee Zoom, and then I was trying to figure out like what sort of camera can I record constantly for like an hour.
Yeah.
Very few cameras would do that at the time without
exactly.
spending like $5,000 or something.
Yeah.
So I was always like trying to do a GoPro, and then I was trying to sync it to the audio, and it was out of sync. You know, there's all these wee things, and then like the GH5 came out, which was a Panasonic. It just shot for like it shot as long as you needed till the card ran out.
Yeah.
So around that time is when I was getting like consistent videos going up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was always like trying to patch it together with different stuff. And then the Patreon came about, and then
You must have been one of the first. Were you one of the first people on Patreon in Northern Ireland?
I
Anyway?
don't know, maybe.
Bound to be.
Maybe.
How old? I don't even know how old it is when it came about.
Never mind. Not too sure. Well, I mean, like, I was on it at a point where it was all just in dollars, and there was no like sterling available.
Yeah.
But it was in and around that time where I think it was like lockdown, where I was like, right, I'll do a week of podcasts.
Yeah.
You know, because everyone's stuck in the house, and I did one like every day.
Yeah.
And it was just like a mad amount of work to do by yourself.
Yeah.
So
figuring out what to talk about too, like.
Yeah, that's when I like messaged Niall to sort of come on and help me with it. And then everything just went up after that. Whenever you don't have to worry about the setup and the lights and everything, you just go. You know, you're sort of like you're just up in the production.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the office came about just sort of by chance.
Yeah.
So it has kind of taken a step. But a lot of people, when they want to start a podcast now, they see that and they go, right, I want to start a podcast. I'm going to rent the space. I'm going to buy all this stuff.
Yeah.
But you're like, that's 10 years after I started.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. You would sink yourself into a hole very quickly if you went straight in with a high produced podcast. I think if the audio's good, that's all that matters. Yeah. Because I know whenever I started, I was like, I recorded one on my phone, still out there somewhere. It was called the Improve Podcast. I don't know what, it was me and McCann in my old sports massage place. And it was recorded on my phone. And I was like, the audio's horrific. So I bought a Zoom. Yeah. Like, all you probably need is a Zoom and a couple of mics, or a Zoom and a mic if you're just doing a solo one. Because listening to it, I've listened to a few podcasts, and they're either done on Zoom, like not a Zoom recorder, but the Zoom kind of like Google Meets kind of thing, and the voice is dropping in and out. I'm annoying. Like, no one's listening. No one is listening to that.
It's so annoying.
It's so frustrating.
The audio has to be good, and it has to just be a good podcast. Because during the lockdown,
who doesn't have a podcast these days?
I seen like so many things would pop up, and someone would be in this like beautifully lit studio with nice cameras going, so welcome to episode 1 of and they're all like, I don't know what we're doing here yet, we're just having a wee faff about, you know, and you're like, this is shit,
don't do it.
This is fucking shit. Like,
yeah I think it's like anyone who's ever put content out naturally feels like they should have a podcast now, because they probably feel like they're missing out, because it's such a big, I love it, because anyone who listens to a podcast actually wants to know, like actually wants to listen for a long period of time. And
sometimes like
because Instagram, you can't gauge who actually want, like,
exactly.
You have a follower, like I might have someone from school that follows me, doesn't care about anything I put out, only follows me because they don't want to unfollow me and make it look like we fell out.
Audio listens on a podcast are the most important thing.
100%, I agree.
I think
because that's a minimum 40-minute episode, and whether they've turned it on and listened to the first 10 minutes, but likelihood is they've put it on, they're subscribed, and they've put it on, and they're listening to it when they're out for a walk, you know, or something, and listening to it in the background. And I think that's the most accurate representation of people that actually want to.
But there's so many, there's so many like unwritten rules around podcasting. Like, it has to be an hour, it has to be out every week, it has to be all these different things. And I'm at the point now where I'm like, does it? You know, I'm sort of like, does it have to be? You know, I know people like those conspiracy guys like Gordo. The guy will not post for 9 months. Yeah. And then he'll have like a series of absolutely banging podcasts. Yeah. And you're dying to see it. Yeah. Like there's probably a lot of stuff on YouTube where you watch a thing and you watch another one and then you watch something else and that sort of dips off the algorithm and it's not being given to you. Yeah. And you're like, it's like, how do you really like retain people? Yeah. I think Patreon's going that way. Yeah. I think Dirt Civil is like once every 12 months, 13 months. And it's just like... And I bet you the numbers are the same. Oh, they do stay the same, because I think people, after you're gone for so long, people are still following you on other things, and they're just like, I want to see, like, what are these guys actually doing? And then the numbers are still the same. I think sometimes if you try and do too much, it just completely burns you out, and you're just chatting about stuff for the sake of chatting about it. It is. However, as a comedian, you do get good at that. Yeah. You know, I think, like, there's certain people... Do you think podcasting's made you a better comedian? Probably. Yeah. It closed the gap between an idea and doing it on stage. Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Because you're doing the bits without the feedback, essentially, or without the automatic feedback.
You know,
You've
sometimes
got McCann laughing at you or something.
yeah, when,
but
when you do
it's
like a
good bit.
new bit on stage, you're trying to remember the words. You've never said them before. You're trying to get the timing right.
Yeah.
If you've sort of said them before,
Yeah.
and you know the general path through a bit, it sort of makes it easier.
Yeah. Do you find it hard to balance, like now, because you're essentially full-time
Just
comedian?
with my physique or something,
Huh?
just hard to balance. Just
Let's
in
not talk
general.
about McCann's balance. Horrific. But do you find it hard to, like, because you're a full-time comedian, touring comedian, like doing big arenas and whatnot, but then you're full, what would you say your job is? Because you're a full-time podcaster, really. Like, the amount of podcasts you're dishing out is significant. Do you find it hard to, like, get it all done?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
It's
I would
all
say
hard.
that's why I appreciate you taking your time out. We're
Yeah.
here on a Saturday morning,
It's-
get it
It's
wedged
all,
in.
it's all hard, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I was talking to Aaron about that the other day. I was like, I just watched the Tom Segura documentary, and he'd been on this massive tour.
Yeah.
And they're interviewing the team that he was there with, and it was like he has a PT that takes photos as well.
Nice.
Handy.
Yeah,
And he's got a
exactly.
barber, and he's got the tour manager, and it's this real team, and he had like hundreds of gigs,
Yeah.
and he was on tour for ages. And I was like, there's such a grey area between like being a comedian who's starting up and then kind of getting a bit of traction and doing well for yourself, and like, like me, for example, being able to go to the UK and sell gigs in like the big towns.
Yeah.
But you're still kind of by yourself, and then it takes this big jump to where you could just have people take care of it.
Yeah.
So like, I'm at a busyness level where I'm like, I probably need people to just do things for me now.
Yeah.
Because you can't really do it all. Like,
Yeah. I suppose that's why, well, Niall was probably the first piece of that puzzle.
but now we need another guy.
Yeah.
Do you know, we've got another guy in shadowing, so it's like I was sitting talking to Maureen the other day, my wife, and I was just thinking, like, I wonder, it's always scary because it takes money, but like, I was like, I wonder if we just had someone for everything.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Like a real business,
Yeah.
like someone doing the books, someone doing
Yeah,
invoices,
yeah.
someone booking laveries, somebody.
Which a lot of people would probably say you should have at
Well,
this stage.
I think that's where we're headed. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that would make sense, because you've been at it long enough, you've built it to a certain level where you would think you should just be rocking up and recording.
Yeah.
But you still do little bits of everything. And then
Yeah, so
Maureen
like
obviously does a fair bit too.
Yeah, she'll do all the sort of admin for laveries.
Yeah.
All the paying and
Yeah.
all the
Because
with
you
the
run
bar
it,
and
yeah, because
everything.
running a comedy club as well is something I did, like, just gets brushed under the carpet because you're a comedian and a podcaster, but then actually running a venue,
Well, it's
which does 2 nights a week?
two nights a week.
now?
It's the one probably that needs taking over the quick, now.
Yeah, it could be a standalone
Yeah.
business that could have people running it. Yeah,
And we always talked about like laveries are so behind the comedy club, and they obviously love it. Like,
Yeah.
they'll do whatever. Like, they refurbished the green room, didn't even tell us,
yeah.
and it looks
yeah.
better than anyone's podcast studio that I've ever seen.
Yeah,
So they do stuff like that, and they love having the room. Obviously, like we just bring the people in, they drink all night, they're happy enough.
Yeah.
We're happy. And there's always talk of like there's no weekend gigs in Belfast and all this. And the thought of it always give me anxiety because I'm like, I can't deal with another day or another day.
Yeah.
So it's at the point now where we need a team,
That just runs it.
and it could be 5 days a week.
Yeah.
You could go Wednesday to Sunday easily.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But you just need more people because you can't physically do
You
that.
would,
on
yeah,
your
you
own.
would fall off the edge of a cliff. Like, do you feel like you've ever burnt out,
Oh, I've been
or do you
burning
just
out, bro.
you just live burnt out?
I'm roasted, man.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but you're talking about like weird comedians and like weird traits that they have, and some of them have ADHD, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I always have like, just it's just like it's like a husky just pulling on a lead
Yeah.
at all times across the board.
Always go.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know. Like, there's always a bit when I wake up in the morning where I'm just like, right, there's this like
Yeah.
something gets me up out of bed
Yeah.
where I'm like, something needs done.
Yeah.
Which is probably terrible for you. You probably
Yeah.
need to be able to switch that off.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of
I think it's a massive positive too. A lot of people don't want to get out of bed,
Oh,
so
totally.
you kind of have to think, well,
Jake
it's good
McCann will be texting you back at 10 to 7.
Huh? He's catching flights up. Yeah, no worries. But it's true. Like, you've got that drive to be like, right, and that's obviously how you've got to where you're at. So I think it's a massive positive too. But I think it's about balancing it and being like, can do too much.
But that's, well, that's it. And like, you know, to go back to the crazy comedians, if the worst one you can have is like, you know, they're talking about like a wee want in you. If you're sort of like, oh, nothing's ever enough.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. I'd rather have that than like crippling like self disbelief or something.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. No, 100%. I think it's a massive there's a lot of positive traits. Everyone has negative traits. Everyone has things that we could do better. But burnout's probably, you know, real burnout. You can be on the edge of it and just be like, oh, geez, I'm over a cliff here. Get a wee team in, please. Sort yourself out.
I know. It's fun. It's so funny to be like, well, Lavery's is pausing now for the summer, but like before that, I was kind of like, when do I have time to get a team? You know, that was it. Was at that point. It was like I need a team for more time, but I don't have the time to get the team. Yeah, I need 6 months off to like gather this team. Yeah.
Because that's the thing. You can't just take on anyone and everyone.
No,
like they have to understand what you want to do. Like, because that would be, if you employed someone that was useless, that would then put more on your plate.
Yeah.
And then that would be,
and then it's stressful.
And then it's more stressful.
It's stressful to have to like let someone go.
Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. Do you ever think about, like, do you ever sit down and take stock? One, and appreciate how much you have achieved, and two, like, figure out where you actually want to take it to? Or has it always just been a case of, right, I'm doing a video, okay, now I'm doing a podcast, wow, this podcast good, doing Patreon, I'm getting bits, I'm doing stand-up, now I'm doing the Ulster Hall, Skip the Waterfront, SSE, and it just naturally, or have you ever actually figured out, did you ever sit down and go, I want to do the SSE, or was it just naturally just happen? Like, that was the progression? Even with the podcasting, did you ever think, like, I want to have this amount on Patreon, I want to do this, I want to have, you know, a studio?
I don't know, I'm good at just jumping.
Yeah.
That's what happens. I'm good at that.
Yeah.
That's probably like a
positive trait.
And sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, and something like that, like in a business venture or a career jump or something. I don't know. I've got like a weird, I'm able to just like drone face and go, yes, do it, you know, and then just try and make it happen. Which is good in like that sense, but then I also probably do that in day-to-day life as well. I'm just like, smash the house to pieces, you know, like
nowhere to live. Great stuff.
But like weird. Yeah, I never have a problem with ideas or this should be the next thing or we should do this and whatever. It's usually like trying to schedule actually making those happen is an issue. I used to like the way I would do like a gratitude journal type thing is like make a video at the end of the year of like highlights I've done, because I
remember you chatting about that.
I honestly have to like remind myself nearly.
Yeah.
And I do, you know, that works, but I'm bad at the sort of I don't like the idea of a 5-year plan type thing anyway. But like I'm bad at stopping and going, where should this go?
Yeah.
Because I'm always just like, you know, like the Waterfront Hall bomb squad thing.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's like a surprise attack. No one's gonna expect us to go from Lavery's to there.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, you know, there's like 1,000 tickets for it sold in a day or something. You know.
Yeah. Unreal.
I like that, just, you know, just like sneak attack on things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm terrible at just stopping and going like, what, you know, like I'm 36 now, so I'm sort of going like, I think we're doing well. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
We're doing well.
I don't think there's any doubt in that.
I should probably have a few like, you know, 40 before 40 rules where I'm like, should I try and do certain things where like, you know, I don't know.
But do you ever sit down and think, where do I want it to go? Or is it always like, it's just going to go where it goes?
I mean,
because
it's one
where
of those,
you want it to go is maybe
it's one of those
different.
snakes eating its tail thing, because I go, you know, I should probably be at a place where I just do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Like I just, you know, I'm not bogged down with loads of podcasts. I just want to do projects that I'm interested in. And then I go, what's actually stopping me doing that?
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter at all if I just did it.
Yeah.
I think there's certain things like, you know, when you've got a wife and a house and a child and all, you know, you're like, maybe you want certain things in place.
Yeah.
But I don't really think that's too far away.
Nah.
To just be like, not coasting, but just in a sort of comfortable enough place where I could be like, I'm just gonna fucking do whatever I want now. There's loads of stuff I want to do. There's loads of like, you know, I'd love to make stuff like little series where I just go around doing gigs with a bunch of comedians in a camper van or something. You know, like
you've been chatting about food content for a while too. Hasn't happened yet.
Well, everyone's been talking about food content on my behalf.
Oh yeah.
You should go do this. You
Yeah,
should go
yeah,
do this.
Yeah.
But
True.
that's the thing. I could do it. I obviously, it's not at the top of my list of things I want to do, so it hasn't been done yet. That's the issue. If I really was dying to do it,
You would have done it.
I'd
by
have
now.
done it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Do you ever think about how much impact you probably haven't, because if you haven't sat down and thought about goals and stuff, you probably don't sit down and think the impact you've had on either the scene or people in the scene, like inspiring other people to do comedy and podcasts. Because I know McCann obviously tells the story about meeting you in Asda, and then he was best man at your wedding, which is a crazy story. Like, you've inspired him to do it.
Yeah.
If you'd never had that meeting, would he have ever done it? Who knows? It's hard to know. But do you ever think about that? Do you ever actually sit down and go, "Geez, this is actually, I've left a pretty big impact here." Not that you're gonna not that you're dead. Like, not talking about legacy or anything.
Left an impact. Well, I don't know. Like, I mean, I feel like, do you know when there's like a big icebreaker boat that just crushes through ice?
Yeah.
And all the other boats just follow it up
Yeah,
the path?
yeah.
That's what it feels like sometimes.
Aye. Trailblazer. I'm telling
Is that
you.
the
That's what it is.
icebreaker? Same thing.
Icebreaker, yeah.
But
same thing.
that was just out of pure desperation in the beginning. Like, Lavery's only exists because I couldn't get gigs in like the Empire.
Yeah.
Doing podcasts, doing stand up, setting up nights, blah blah, just pushing. And now, like, everybody does the same things I do now.
Yeah.
But I was probably doing it like 8 years before they were.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Which is fine. That's just the way people do things now. But the likes of Lavery's is good because people, that's like a fight gym where you've got like 12 world champions in it.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like, because everybody's just been working away, chipping away. People, like William or something, becoming like a regular MC and just getting sharper and sharper and sharper and sharper. And it's, obviously he's gigged in loads of places, but that sort of regular thing in like a good environment has made like loads of fucking beast comedians.
Yeah.
And it's at the point now where, like, it's so much better than 99% of the gigs you do. The crowd's better, the vibe's better.
It's
the setup and everything. Like,
yeah. There's very rarely a bad gig at it. Like, anytime I've been, it's been absolutely.
Like, I've been down to Dublin to do some of the more popular, bigger gigs down there, and I'm just like, bro, this is fucking.
Yeah.
This is no laugh. We had Colin Murphy.
Yeah.
Who came in, and I couldn't get him to do it for years, and he came in and he was just like, I've never seen it. This is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And did the gig, loved it. And then he did the Opera House a few weeks after, and I replied to one of his stories, like, whatever. And he goes, it was good. There was no Lavery's though. So like, but again, it's just like needing it to exist. There was no gigs, so it's just pushing.
Yeah.
And then eventually you step back after a decade and go, this is fucking the best club there is.
Yeah.
In this country.
100%. It 100% is. I'm not just saying that because you're sitting beside me. Like, what would you say? Obviously, the Northern Irish comedy scene is incredible for such a small place. What do you think? What do you think's behind that? Like, what do you think it is? Do you think it's because everyone has a podcast and they're flat out making bits? Or
I answered this exact same question with a girl from like RTE or something the other day. And
come on, Tim, be authentic. Per from me.
No, but I'd never thought about it before.
Yeah.
But it was like there was no traditional path to like success for comedians up here. Like down south, it's like you could do the clubs, you get well known, you do a few spots on radio, you warm up for a few shows, people know your face, and then you can work yourself into like TV and like traditional media. And up here, it was like they're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
They've got the blame game and get my headpiece.
Yeah.
And they've very little space for like new comedy. So you're never going to like work your way up that system.
Yeah.
So you have to like do it by yourself. So it has to go YouTube, it has to go podcasts. And then all those people have podcasts. Everyone's getting a name for themselves. Everyone's going on each other's podcasts.
Yeah.
And just chipping away, getting people to Lavery's, getting people to return to Lavery's, and they get to know these names, and people who've been on my podcast, they'll see them at Lavery's, and it all just starts to like build momentum.
Yeah.
And then it gets to a point where eventually like BBC will come around and be like, we've decided we'd like to do online content.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, fucking
no,
15 years too late.
Yeah, exactly.
So people now are starting to get like wee bits and pieces of online stuff. And that's starting to build up again.
Yeah.
But it's like, for me, if they would quite literally have to just offer me like an obscene amount of money and no notes on it whatsoever. If I was
sort the house out, do everything.
If I was to do anything, I'd be like, I'll do it for an obscene
there would
amount
be
of money.
because there would be no reason why you would do it, because essentially you say traditional media is now YouTube and podcasts. Really, that's what people are listening to. Like, I haven't watched TV.
I hear
years.
when people say, like, you know, they'll talk about someone and be like, oh, they're like internet famous. And you're like, that's just regular famous.
That's just famous now. Yeah,
internet famous means, I think what they mean is they've no talent.
Yeah,
they're just a famous person.
Yeah.
But you can be a talented famous person just on the internet.
Exactly. And there's a skill in marketing yourself in that way. And also, YouTubers are way more famous than someone that's in Coronation Street nowadays.
Yeah.
You know, that's just because everyone's watching YouTube. No, I don't know, you know, who's really watching TV anymore. So it's no surprise that BBC are like, we want to do online content. You don't say.
Yeah.
Like, that's the natural progression. But I think that's probably the reason why the comedy here is so good, because everyone had to kind of like, you know, go away from it. They weren't trying to get onto what you would call mainstream media.
Yeah.
They just kind of had to become good by putting out their own stuff. And to get people to watch it, it had to be decent content. Like,
it's everything though, you know, like the price of like producing something yourself has like come down to, like, I made that blender thing for a few £1,000, and that was me just paying Niall basically.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
There was no like major production money.
Yeah.
Probably could have done with it, but
Yeah.
you know, if you'd have seen something like that on TV, you'd be like, what was the budget for that? I'd be like, oh, it's 100 or like 10k a minute or something.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. What, to finish it off?
It's got very serious, this whole
Yeah,
thing.
I know.
The ins and outs of algorithms on the internet.
Exactly. Or traditional media and all sorts. But what would you say? I know you're not big into like 5-year plans, 10-year plans, but what is the goals roughly? Like where do you want to be? Obviously, you said you're nearly 40. You're not nearly 40. You're 36. 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, what is the plan? Obviously, you've got a child, lovely wife, great house.
Steady on.
She is lovely. She's great. But what's the kind of plan now? Because, you know, it's naturally, obviously, up until this point, you've said things are just kind of like, you kind of just bored your way through.
Mm-hmm.
But is there any kind of methodical side of it where you're like, right, okay, I want to do this or I want to do this? Like, obviously, you're doing the SSE pretty consistently now, like podcasting consistently for years now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the idea in your head? Or is it more just keep doing it and then see what comes up, opportunities?
Yeah, like it's probably the same things, but just like on your own terms a lot more, you know? I do like podcasting. There's something about the regularity of it kills me.
Yeah.
Where, like, I would love to do podcasts if the notion took me, you know?
Yeah.
And they'd probably be way better. But
Yeah.
I still want to do that. I think it's probably getting a load of teams in place, you know, to make that easier.
Yeah.
The gigging and stuff is great. You know, even this year's tour is like smoothed out a bit. It's not all over the place. It's just like selected shots.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you know, if you were to go like, what's your favorite thing to do?
Yeah.
It's like go places and sort of vlog it.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
put together something after the point.
I can see that. Like, whenever you do a trip, like, or Niall's there, or you're either going to film something, you can see the love you put into, like, actually going and doing that.
Yeah.
And, like, seeing somewhere different.
And that's why this year's like a bit of a sort of that sort of tipping point for me, where I'm like, I was talking about that highlight of the year, and I was like, this year's been so mental.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are the highlights? You know, I'm sort of like, there hasn't been a lot of those trips and random things.
Yeah.
So it's probably that sort of direction, like being a good stand-up who also has enough of a following where people just want to keep up and watch.
Yeah.
So you could make vlogs, or
Yeah.
I say vlogs, like they're sometimes a bit better than that, but like
Yeah.
just go places and experience things and film it, do stupid things, do gigs
Yeah.
there, whatever.
Yeah. It sounds like a pretty solid plan to me. Like, it's obviously
And a
not-
hair transplant, steroids, but we'll
Yeah.
get that-
Oh, that's absolutely. I don't think you need steroids. Like,
Why?
I think that would just be. I just don't need to go into it, but I don't think you need them.
We don't need to accumulate mass.
Yeah. You'd be too big. Like, I know there's a big sliding door there, but no, I don't think steroids
Olympic, or what do we call Ozempic? That's what I need.
No, steroids shouldn't be in the plan. No, stick to the vlogging.
BCAAs.
Yeah, BCAAs and good flat whites or Americanos. But no, like, how do you find the balance? How do you find the lifestyle side of things? Actually, like fitting things in, because I'm sure it's very easy to just get bogged down in work.
Yeah, I mean,
and podcasting's obviously not the most active.
No, it's not.
Career in the word comedy, you're walking a bit, but not.
I feel it like it is an issue. That is the thing. Probably that's my 3-year goal. Free up some leisure time.
Yeah,
because I'd absolutely like my ideal day would be like wake up, have a little coffee, kiss my son on the head, and be like, I'm back in a minute.
Yeah,
go do a workout.
Yeah,
come back, shower, take him out for a walk.
Yeah,
nice brunch. Come back,
Jeez,
do a bit of meet up with someone, do a wee bit of writing, a few jokes.
Yeah,
nap. Go do a gig, essential. Have crack with all the lads.
Yeah,
and somehow go to bed early, but also be up late. But
yeah,
I want a lot more of that.
Yeah, when
sometimes it's like, I'm driving in the car and I do a podcast and I've been sitting for 3 hours and then I just go into the gym beside the office and do an absolutely ludicrous workout.
Yeah.
When I've went from 0 to 100, that's very much me in a nutshell there. Just like, oh yeah, I've done 48 steps today, but I'm just going to go in here and, absolutely pound
bash
it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a bit more. That's the 3-year plan. Just take it down from 11.
Yeah.
Down to about a 6.
Hire more people. Get other people doing things. Yeah, it sounds like a solid plan.
Slow down. That's what
slow down.
Yeah, I'm slowing down.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's good because it could be very easy to go all the way and tip over the edge of a cliff. I keep looking at Eddie's wee Crocs here. They're just sitting there in the corner. Sorry, they keep catching my eye. Gonna have to show the people.
I don't even think
the keyring Crocs. I
don't even think he's fit them anymore.
Just leave them there. They look lovely.
They're not even authentic ones. He does have real Crocs, but they're from M&S.
Oh, M&S. Well, we're not sponsored.
I think we bought them on the way to the beach trip one day.
Every time I look down, I just seen the wee cute little Crocs thing. But no, look, Geddis, I appreciate you.
What's your plan?
What's my plan?
Yeah,
loads of different things.
Sweet. We'll see you next week.
But morning coffee with Tim, I want this to be. I think Northern Ireland, there's a little bit of a gap for a lifestyle podcast or a podcast where people actually find stuff out about interesting people. Because I think comedy podcasts, how many? There's a lot of them. There's obviously very good ones. There's obviously very bad ones. There's other podcasts. There's serious podcasts. But this is like a podcast where I want to get people on that I find interesting, cool stories, and actually dig a little bit deeper and find out like what makes them tick. I think that's what I want to do with this. And then the online coaching for me, is something that I just love doing. And Instagram, social media, trying to get yourself out there is a minefield these days, like we spoke about.
When are you going to start putting a road mic on and just while you're at the gym, and you're just clanking about, and then you're just talking to yourself?
Well, that's the issue. Like, it's very easy to do, like what you were saying. It's very easy with the crowd work and comedy. That's probably the same version in fitness. Mm-hmm. Put a mic on, or a girl with a big ass putting the mic, and she's just standing like this and being like, turning around.
Have you seen people?
Yeah, just like, hey guys, we're just here.
Like, yeah, this is a split I normally do.
That's not what you're
this
hearing.
This is my Tuesday work. Can you see my actual anus?
No one is listening to what split she's doing. Like,
have you seen the male thirst traps?
No.
Like, I seen this dude, this giant muscular black guy, and he was like, doing exercises where you're like, you didn't do those exercises to get in that shape.
Yeah.
He's like running on the spot and his hog is just all over the place. And you're like, unnecessary. You're telling me you didn't get like that doing like explosive.
But that's been about for years, like 6-pack shortcuts and all this. And it's this guy that's like roided up, shredded, and he's doing flipping V-sits in his living room. Not like that guy's never done a V-sit in his living room in his life.
Do you know what's so funny? Like, that's such a young person thing. The like full aesthetic, whatever.
Yeah.
I think not that I'm one to comment on anyone's body, but it's like I'm
functional
like,
over.
Exactly. Like, what do you call your boy Darren? Do you know him?
Oh yeah, Darren. Yeah.
He said on something, he's like, just give a shit about yourself.
Yeah.
You could be carrying a wee bit of weight, but you should be strong and reasonably fit.
Yeah. And not run out of breath walking up the stairs. Like.
Yeah.
That's the big thing for me. Like, all my coaching is very lifestyle based. I'm not trying to get anyone on stage. I'm not trying to get anyone shredded. It's like, right, 3 months time, are you happier? Are you happier with your life? Are you like drinking more water? Are you eating a bit better? And are you actually like enjoying your day? Are you waking up with a little bit of energy? Most people just go to work, live for the weekend, drink themselves silly, and then wake up Monday and go, I have to do this again.
Yeah, I can't drink anymore.
Done. Clocking out.
It's just it has to really make sense for me to do it now. There's no willy-nilly drinks.
Let's talk about the non-alcoholic grapefruit Erdingers at
I'm a big
Lavery's. Unbelievable. They're incredible.
Just write lemonade on it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's not.
It is. It's like fruity juice.
It's not beer at
It's
all.
incredible. But I think you're spot on. Like it should be lifestyle. It should be like, right, how can I just enjoy life? And if I've got a wee bit of weight on, fine. It's not going to send me to an early grave. It's not going to help me. It's not going to make me develop coronary heart disease.
Yeah, I think you should just be strong.
Yeah.
And be able to walk for a few hours.
Yeah. Throw a kettlebell about for a bit. And you're spot on.
You need to be able to get out of bed. Use what I use: fear.
Yeah, use fear to drive.
Fear
you.
and anxiety
Absolutely.
up out of bed.
Fear drives everything. But no, look, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you letting me use this garage studio setup.
Yeah, it's not bad.
No, it's very, very solid. But look, guys, if you enjoyed this, do all the usual stuff: like, share, subscribe, any of that good business. And don't forget, you'll like this. Grab a coffee, get your steps in, get inspired. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? Do you like that?
Yeah.
Great. See you in the next one. All the best. Cheers, guys. Here, do you have anything to Bomb Squad, Lavery's?
Go to Lavery's. It's back in September. Go see me in the SSE Arena.
When's that?
That is the 30th of September.
Yeah.
Go see me in Vicar Street if you're near Dublin.
Vicar Street.
8th of September. Bomb Squad Live.
2nd of September.
1st of September.
First. I'm fully not home.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be home 2nd of September. Might have changed my flights. Yeah, go to all them things. Colin Geddis Comedy. Instagram. We put out a clip whenever. And yeah, see you in the next one.
Take her easy.
All the best. Bye-bye.